Hey Rock Rebels, today I'm sharing a much requested video about a band you might already be familiar with. I'm talking about the Melvins. Now, although the band has never really officially achieved mainstream popularity, they're an incredibly influential group with an intense commitment to output. Hell, they've released an album almost every year since their self-titled debut EP, which came out in 1986. Speaking of productive, they've also performed in all 50 states in the US and Washington, D.C. in just 51 days in 2012, and they'd record the journey and release it in a 2015 DVD titled Across the USA in 51 Days. And they're a band that doesn't seem to really overthink the creative process, as they've rarely spent more than 2 weeks recording an album. And the Melvins' fifth record, Houdini, would be released at the height of the grunge craze on September 21st, 1993, and it was their first major label debut. And 10 years prior, the band would form in Montesino, Washington, and it would be led by the outspoken singer and guitarist Buzz Osborne, otherwise known as King Buzzo, and their drummer Dale Crover. They've also gone through a revolving door basis over the years. Now, the band was intertwined with Nirvana in a few different ways. Drummer Dale Crover played drums on a 10-song demo, which was recorded in early 1988, and some of those songs would later be found on Nirvana's debut record, 1989's Bleach. And the other connection to Nirvana is that Dave Grohl would actually meet Kurt Cobain and Chris Novoselic backstage at a Melvins show. And the Melvins were also one of Cobain's most beloved bands. In fact, for a short period of time in 1993, Cobain served as a temporary producer on Houdini, but was later kicked off the project for just being too stoned. So let's get into the breakdown of their most well-known record, Houdini. So Houdini was the first of 3 albums released at the arguable height of the Melvins' commercial success. It was a period when the band was signed to Atlantic Records, as labels were basically scrambling to Seattle and the surrounding areas to find the next Nirvana or Pearl Jam. And the other albums they put out would be 1994's Stoner Witch, which was a personal favorite of frontman Buzz Osborne, and 1996's Stag. Now, Osborne and Crover alternated on the bass parts, although Shirley Temple's daughter, Lorax, is also credited as a bassist on the record. And in a 2018 Louder Sound article, King Buzzo says that Houdini was actually his least favorite of the 3 records, with Stoner Witch being number 1 for him, telling the publication, "The Stoner Witch record was the middle of the 3 we did with Atlantic, and it wasn't the best-selling record from that time. Houdini was the best-selling one, but that was actually my least favorite of the 3. I'm proud of all those records, though, and when you listen to them, you can tell there's not a lot of record company meddling going on. Stoner Witch in particular was a lot of fun to make, and we really learned a lot in the studio on that one," he'd say. Now, the opening track, Hooch, is both bold and brash, not unlike their frontman, and it's a joyful racket full of clashing cymbals and an upbeat snare part. And the vocals are metal all the way, both in the way they're produced and sang, and the song also serves as a great example of King Buzzo's mastery of the language and the way he focuses on the sound and the rhythm of a word even more than the meaning of it. And from the same album, the opening guitar riff of the track Night Goat, which is both slow and pensive yet steadily driving, draws the listener in right away. In the song, it becomes especially clear right away how the Melvins influenced Nirvana's sound. And the band has never been afraid to go against the current trends and be a little offbeat. On Houdini, they also did a cover of the Kiss song Goin' Blind. And keeping in mind, back in the early 90s, classic rock acts and bands like Kiss weren't really considered cool. And Kiss had just released 1992's Revenge record, which reached gold status, which was respectable, but nothing compared to their strong series of platinum and double platinum records they released throughout the mid-70s and to the 80s. And this goes to show you how a band like the Melvins has always followed their own vision, despite whatever is or isn't popular at a given time, and I have to respect them for that. If I had to guess the Melvins' motto, it would probably be, "I'd rather be respected than liked." And speaking of that, the Melvins aren't really sentimental about their time with the members in Nirvana or their connection to the band. In various interviews over the last several years, they've been pretty uncomplimentary towards Kurt Cobain and Nirvana, and they don't view Kurt Cobain as the martyr he's often portrayed as in the media. In fact, even though the Melvins are thought of as the godfathers of grunge, in a 2019 interview with Rolling Stone Online, King Buzzo revealed that he's not actually a big fan of the genre, saying, "I'm not overly intrigued by the whole genre. It's okay, there's a few things that are good, but I think most of what people put under that moniker is just garbage, and I don't care about any of it. I might as well be listening to Bon Jovi, big production, big everything." But in the same interview, he also named Soundgarden's 1991 album Bad Motor Finger as his number 1 pick, but also included 1991's Nevermind in his list of top 10 records as well. So there you guys have it, a rundown of the most famous album from one of the most influential acts in grunge, who really don't care about the genre. How ironic. Now I'm curious, what do you guys think about the Melvins' output during the mid-90s when they were signed to Atlantic? And do you guys want to hear any more stories about the Melvins? Let me know in the comment section below. I also want to let you guys know that I'm on Patreon. You can check out the member-only perks starting from just $2 a month. We've got a private community, a listening club, and even more for you guys to check out. The link to join is in the description box below. If you guys like this video, you can support my channel by watching another video. That's all for today. Remember guys, bands may break up, rock legends may die, but rock lives on. Take care.